Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajagana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajagana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajagana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajagana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada 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 Gaura Pimanandi Dam Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Radhagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shalabai Charanaravind Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skanda Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharyas Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samavata Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jainitai Gaur Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Chakshurindritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Sri Visakanvitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kansana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Trubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Sloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishtreyasaya lokasya
Nishesaya Lakesha
Dhanyam Swastyayanam Mahad.
Dhanam Sasaranam.
This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu
Sri
Nityananda
Advaita
Sri
Gadadhara,
Advaita Gadadhara
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Sri Gaura
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Krishna Hare
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 Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama
Hare.
Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Sarabhyai
Om
Namaha.
Sarvaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Sarvaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyai Namaha.
Om Sarvaya Namaha
Mukam karoti vasaram pangom langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. Continuing Canto number 1, chapter 6, entitled Conversation between Narada, Narada and Vyasadeva. We are close to the end of this chapter. Today, doing text number 34, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Okay. 34. Etad
Etad
dhi
Dhi
atura
Atura
Chittanam
Chittanam
Matra
Mata
Sparasheshchaya
Sparshechaya
Muhuhu
Muhu
Bhava
Bhava
Sindhu
Sindhu
Plavo
Plavo
Dristo
Dristo
Hari
Hari
Saryanuvalnanam
Saryunuvarnanam
Etad Jaturachittanam
Etadhyaturachittanam
Matra Sparasheshchaya Muhuhu
Matra Sparshaya
Bhavasindhu Plavo Dristo
Bhava Sindhu Plavo Risto
Hari Charyanuvalnanam
Hari Charyanuvarnanam
Etad Dhyatura Chittanam
Etadhyaturachittanam
Matra Sparasishchaya Muhu
Matra Sparshaya
Bhavasindhu Plavo Dristo
Bhava Sindhu Plavo Dristo
Hari Charyanuvalnanam
Hari Charyanuvarnanam
Etad Dhyatura Chittanam
Etadhyaturachittanam
Matra Sparasheshchaya Muhu
Matra Sparshaya
Bhavasindhu Plavo Dristo
Bhava Sindhu Plavo Dristo
Hari Charyanuvalnanam
Hari Charyanuvarnanam
etadhyaturachitanam matra sparsheschayamuhu bhavasindhu plavo dristo haricharya nibananam. Etadhyaturachitanam matra sparsheschayamuhu bhavasindhu plavo dristo haricharya nibananam. Etat, this, he, certainly, Atturachittanam, of those whose minds are always full of cares and anxieties. Matra, objects of sense enjoyment. Sparsha, senses. Ischaya, by desires. Muhuhu, always. Bhavasindhu, the ocean of nescience. Plavaha, boat. Dristaha, experienced. Haricharya, activities of Hari, the personality of Godhead. Anuvarnanam, constant recitation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Sridham Prabhupada Ki. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a most suitable boat. The constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Kindly repeat after me. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a most suitable boat. The constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Purport. The symptom of a living being is that he cannot remain silent even for some time. He must be doing something, thinking of something, or talking about something. Generally, the materialistic men think and discuss about subjects which satisfy their senses. But as these things are exercised under the influence of the external illusory energy, such sensual activities do not actually give them any satisfaction. On the contrary, they become full with cares and anxieties. This is called Maya, or what is not. That which cannot give them satisfaction is accepted as an object for satisfaction. So Narada Muni, by his personal experience, says that satisfaction for such frustrated beings engaged in sense gratification is to chant always the activities of the Lord. The point is that the subject matter only should be changed. No one can check the thinking activities of the living being, nor the feeling, willing, or working processes. Yeah. But if one wants actual happiness, one must change the subject matter only. Instead of talking of politics of a dying man, one might discuss the politics administered by the Lord Himself. Instead of relishing activities of the cinema artists, one can turn his attention to the activities of the Lord with his eternal associates like the gopis and Lakshmis. The Almighty Personality of Godhead, by his causeless mercy, descends on the earth and manifests activities almost on the line of the worldly men, but at the same time extraordinarily, because he is almighty. He does so for the benefit of all conditioned souls, so that they can turn their attention to transcendence. By doing so, the conditioned soul will gradually be promoted to the transcendental position and easily cross the ocean of nescience, the source of all miseries. This is stated from personal experience by such an authority as Sri Narada Muni. And we can have the same experience also if we begin to follow in the footsteps of the great sage, the dearmost devotee of the Lord. Translation again. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties due to desiring a contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a most suitable boat. The constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. So this is Narada sharing his personal experience. Um, something that Srila Prabhupada very often explained, which he is again doing in this purport, that no one can stop the activities of thinking, feeling, and willing. They are the three main predominant activities of the mind, isn't it? Everyone has mind, and everyone is uh, by nature inclined to think about something, to feel something, and to desire. However, when those activities of thinking, feeling, and willing are for the purpose of what is called chapala sukha. That very nice bhajan. That describes the futility of material sense gratification. Bifale sevinu kripana durajana. Bifale sevinu. What is the meaning of bifale sevinu? Activities that don't have any result. Bifal, without the result that everyone is aiming for. That means full. Every living entity is working, engaging, performing so many activities, trying to be happy. But we see that one cannot attain that kind of full, permanent excuse me, happiness on the material platform. Defale sevinu kripana durajana. What is meaning? Kripana durajana. People we work for in the material world, they have these two characteristics of being kripana, very miserly, and very hard-hearted. They don't have our interest at heart. Basically, they want to exploit. And the end result, of course, is chapala sukha. What is chapala sukha? Flickering happiness. Everyone is working for what ends up being flickering happiness. There is material rasa is there. Same thing actually is being conveyed. We cannot live without rasa. Those who are devoid of this knowledge that is being shared here by Narada Muni have to be satisfied with this material rasa, which is actually not satisfactory because it's not permanent and it doesn't, being on the bodily platform does not address the real needs of the soul. So this is the verdict of Narada Muni, that those who are, and of course that's the majority of people in the material world, those who are on the level of anxiety, pursuing various goals and activities. That's also confirmed, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita. What's that verse? That is telling when we, same thing actually, Mogasha moga karmano, moga jnana vichetasa, rakshase masurima saiva, mohinim prakritim sitaha. That living entity in the material world has a choice to either take shelter of Krishna's Mohini Prakriti, external energy, means Maya, external energy, or one has a choice of taking shelter of Krishna's Daivi Prakriti, So that is also Krishna's conclusion. Those who either due to total ignorance, not even knowing about the internal energy, not even knowing about their identity as a spirit, as an eternal spirit soul, they have no choice. They are therefore totally subjugated by these modes of material nature. And what is their position or this destination? Uh, Moga. Moga means, any Sanskrit scholar here? Baffled. Mogasha, moga, all of their aspirations or desires. Mogasha, moga karmano, all of their activities. Moga again, all of their knowledge is bewildered, is or baffled, unsuccessful. That's the position. So here Narada Muni is giving us the clear information how to actually come out of this situation, and the only way is to um, uh, well, here it is mentioned to um, yeah, take shelter of the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Of course, that means not only chanting, but all kinds of activities uh, in connection with uh, the subject matter of transcendence. Um, so personalities like Srila Prabhupada, who is a follower in disciplic succession of Srila Narada Muni, very nicely exemplified this point by even before leaving householder life. Means it is possible not only for those who are we call tyagis, tyagis or renunciates, mm, uh, or ascetics, even those who are householders, as demonstrated by many of our exemplary Vaishnavacharyas, beginning with Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Prabhupada, although in house, even within householder life, they engaged in so many activities in relation to the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It means that somehow we need to become more and more engaged, more and more absorbed. In the early days, Prabhupada was very expert in engaging the devotees in the very simple activities, which is actually being referred to here. If you speak to any early devotees, including Shiva Ramaraj, we would spend literally hours and hours and hours performing Harinam in the streets of the big cities around the world. That was the most important activity, and it was actually very blissful. Prabhupada explains how a devotee is someone who sees himself, who can see himself, who can understand himself as being different than common people, because common people who are not having this knowledge and and understanding are totally on the Bali platform. And people on the Bali platform generally cannot just spend hours and hours chanting Hare Krishna in the streets. Um, in those days, in those early days also, uh, at the risk of being arrested, which happened a lot also, at the risk of being, one devotee in Montreal was telling me some years back, I was doing what I did it practically every day, going out with the devotees and very happily chanting Hare Krishna. And then one day, one person just came up to me and started beating me up because some people are disturbed and agitated by the activities of seemingly, people who have nothing better to do, just wasting their time. Uh, that cannot be, of course, understood. Yeah, the, the mood, mentality, and the thoughts and activities of devotees cannot cannot be understood by those who are grossly absorbed in materialistic um, activities. So Prabhupada actually created a whole, on the order of his spiritual master, created a whole society for the purpose primarily of giving us engagement, isn't it? Of keeping us engaged. And there's unlimited engagement, uh, which uh, which is what is being explained here. Um, Narada Muni's recommendation is that when we do this, then this this is the proper solution for all of the problems and anxieties that people are experiencing in this material world. Mm. I will read again the translation and yeah. It is personally experienced by me that those who are always full of cares and anxieties, due to desiring constant, due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects, can cross the ocean of nations on a most suitable boat, which is the constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. Any thoughts on this?
You mentioned this verse of Bhagavad Gita 9:12,
Yes.
and here in the purport, Prabhupada says that there are many devotees who assume themselves to be in Krishna consciousness and devotional service, but at heart they do not accept the Supreme Personal of Godhead, Krishna as the Absolute Truth.
They do not accept that.
The Supreme Personal of Godhead, Krishna as the Absolute Truth. So, how do you join? Who to give them initiation and why and how they consider themselves part of Krishna consciousness. I don't know, religion or movement, how it's happened.
Uh, I'm not sure if Prabhupada is exclusively or only referring to devotees who have joined this movement.
Could be, we don't know.
Because, for example, we know that Srila Prabhupada's one important goal was to establish Brahminical culture. Uh, because Brahmanas, by definition and by nature, their primary focus and attention is on the cultivation of transcendence, Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. That takes us above the bodily platform. But we know that that's that's one way of understanding this statement that you just quoted by Srila Prabhupada. But we know that the majority of Brahmanas, I mean outside of ISKCON, the majority of Brahmanas in the world don't accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uh, now, I I would think that the majority of Brahmanas within ISKCON, those who are initiated, uh, whether they are initiated as Brahmanas or not, have some basic, at least theoretical understanding, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the vast, the vast majority of people who are practicing spiritual life, isn't it, are not accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because a vast majority are impersonalists. They are transcendentalists, but as we were referring to what Srila Rupa Goswami explains in the Nectar Devotion, there are two types of transcendentalists. Or he's explaining actually three types of happiness: material happiness, transcendental happiness, and devotional happiness. So devotional happiness is only possible for those who actually know about Krishna, because devotion, bhakti, means this exchange between two individuals. But the vast majority of people who are practicing spiritual life, they don't know. They are missing this element of bhakti, isn't it? And therefore they cannot experience the full ananda. They are experiencing maybe some kind of Brahmananda. Brahmananda. Uh, that is there also in the Bhagavad Gita. Nasocati nekancati. But higher than Brahmananda is Premananda, which is exclusively for those who are fortunate to have been introduced to that whole realm, that whole science of bhakti. That is what especially Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to reveal to the world by himself, practicing by himself, assuming the role of a devotee. um, so I would think that this is what Srila Prabhupada is making reference to. Yeah.
I heard that one little story that which is under, which is supporting that understanding. Also, it's in ISKCON, but there was a brahmachari who was really nicely washing pots, and he was like 40 or like not young brahmachari. And one of the other brahmacharis asked him, how, why are you are staying in brahmachari ashram? Why not accepting some nice woman? And what is your understanding of this or the situation? And he told that no, these women in the material world are like frogs. But if I serve in ISKCON all my life, next life I will go to the heaven. That where I will find nothing.
If I serve nicely,
Yeah.
in the next life I will go
So
to
some have
Swarga.
service very nicely, but no one asking them what is their concept. They are brahmacharis, okay, they are sitting, they are working hard, but maybe
Well,
yeah,
I
but it's not a majority.
right. I was just going to say,
Yeah, just
I hope that's not
yeah.
correct.
I have another question. So yesterday we have this nice experience of have a darshan of Lord Jagannath,
Yes.
have a darshan of his prasadam. But then why Jagannath gives suffering? Because I'm suffering now from the prasadam, not necessarily the prasadam, but the process how my body doesn't digest it. So, and I was thinking on that post. If I say, please don't give me more, then I heard Jagannath or Jagannath's servant. So I was in confusion. Why then Jagannath give me suffering? Because I wanted to serve him. I made a mistake, or how can I understand this exchange with us and Jagannath's Shadam? Did we, did I offended him, or why?
So the question is, how is it that by accepting this very special, prasadam
Yeah,
directly offered to Lord Jagannath, and this Lord Jagannath is not different from in Jagannath Puri,
yeah,
like that,
Krishna.
um, and uh, and my body is not able to appreciate.
Yeah,
uh, there, well, I think um, there are different, we say, takes on this. There are different ways to understand. Um, prasadam, of course, we know is the mercy of the Lord. It's food that's been offered and taken by the Lord, and we call it prasadam, which is the Lord's mercy. But we have different um, bodily situations, and we have different uh, mental situations, and we have different spiritual situations. So, like, I generally cannot take spicy food. Um, Yesterday, I made an exception because it was Lord Jagannath's prasadam, and I didn't know really how it would go. Maybe a little bit like yourself. Somehow it went fairly quite well, but I think we need to be cautious, even though it is prasadam. Uh, we uh, we should always, of course, honor prasadam, but maybe uh, we need to. Um, I mean, I think it's a reality for all of us. We have different material situations with this body, and therefore, uh, if we know that certain foods, for example, if I take anything that is cooked in oil, I immediately get a reaction. Of course, this was cooked in ghee. Uh, uh, but generally, I want to know where that ghee comes from. Also, I mean, there, it's not um, it's not that everything which is offered to the Lord, whether it's in a temple or even in our home, that because there's so many factors involved. What food was actually offered? Where does that food come from? Who offered the food in which mentality? There's many factors. Uh, so in general, for those who have especially more aging bodies, like our bodies, and who may have certain issues also, then although it is, you know, the Lord's prasadam, we we need to be um, what's the word? Possibly yeah, cautious or maybe even selective. That generally, for example, chutneys are chutneys because of the way they're made, which for some people creates. So although it is prasadam, still our body is is is
But
something
how to behave? Because that person was really nice to serve him. So
difficult to refuse.
yeah, how to communicate that point is no, it's I see that that's
Well, that's a whole other uh, lila, especially in Bengal, when uh, it's part of the custom and the tradition that when we go in villages, we see that especially village people who are in uh, following Vedic culture, they always uh, it's part of being a good host to feed maximum. I mean that whole lila. We see descriptions of that during Mahaprabhu's pastimes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. They would have a banana leaf that is maybe 10 feet long, full of prasadam. Uh, so I mean, the Lord, that whole pastime was there. That prasadam was accumulating, and the Lord one fine fine day told, okay, bring all this prasadam, and he honored all of that prasadam. We're not on that platform and level. But it's part of the custom, part of the tradition that those who are receiving devotees, they it's kind of a what is it? Um, there's an exchange. There's a competition. How to serve more and more, and in Bengal, unless you go like this, and even when you do that, yeah, you may still end up having prasadam served on your plate. But really, I've seen, I mean, personal experience. It's like the understanding is that unless you really, with all humility and respect for the devotee who's wanting to serve you, but his mood and mentality is that I have to give maximum more and more and more until the point that he will physically put his hand and block me from serving. That mentality is there in Bengal, especially. I don't know about other places, but I personally experienced that. Because if we just say no, no, they'll put it anyways, and then yeah, it's kind of a lila, prasadam lila. Um, yeah, I was. That's why, yeah, if we have certain conditions also, then we have to take that into consideration.
One solution that my Guru Maharaj does, that he invite more people and then he cooks nine spicy vegetable something,
Right.
and they receive that, and then Jagannath Mahaprasad is just a little adding,
Correct.
which is the same mercy, but devotees can more easily digest, which is cooked for a
Yeah, because you know, this is Rajbhog. Rajbhog is like heavy. I mean, they purposely make it with, you know, they're very generous with the ghee and different spices. So the Lord has no problem to digest everything, but we,
it's just
yeah,
thank you.
we had a nice. We went to Jagannath Temple yesterday. In Rajapur, yeah, Jagannath Temple. Yeah, we went to Jagannath Puri, came back this morning. Yeah, one devotee, Abhay Prabhu, actually invited us there, and it was nice. We met all kinds of people because it was Sunday, right? So there's people from Nidaya, one Mataji, Gandhari Mataji, had some young people.
It was nice exchange.
Yeah. Then there was another group of young people from Jharkhand. One devotee, he was telling me, I've seen him before, but not so closely connected. But he was telling that some years back, one preacher from Pune, you know, youth preacher, he explained to me the importance of preaching to young people. And he says, since there, I became very inspired. So he says, now I'm preaching in Jharkhand, and he had about 12 young people coming for the first time, you know, to the Holy Dham. So quite happy,
It's like
enthusiastic.
a situation when Bhakti Saraswati was receiving young people like Abhay,
Yeah.
and he why not you?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
They have a lot of energy. They are before so much engagement, so
Yeah,
it's the right time
correct. Absolutely.
to put to them in different direction.
Yeah.
But it was nice, nice to see them.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jai Grantaraj Bhagavatam ki, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Gauda Pimanandi. And the work continues. So you told them to make the same